Hello friends, this is tutorial number 11 in these Scala Programming language tutorials. In this tutorial we will talk about OR and AND operators. We will create one application with student exam. We will enter the score of two students, and depending of score, as a response we will get if they are both passed the exam, or just one of them passed the exam, or both students failed the exam. Let's start with application. First, we need variable input will be equals to new scanner system.in, and now we will import scanner from the Java library, and we need a message print line enter student 1 score, and we will create a variable student 1 score will be equals input dot next integer, because it will be an integer, and we need a message from the second student enter student 2 score, and we need to create another variable student 2 score will be equals input dot next int. It will of course also be an integer, and now we need to we enter the score of both students, but we need to create control statements that will give us the response. First of all, a student score, minimum score can be 0. We cannot input negative numbers, and maximum score can be 100. We cannot input score greater than 100. And let's create control statement. If, and we need opening bracket student 1 score is greater or equal to 0. This is the first of condition, but we will need AND operator. This means this is not only one condition. This condition needs to be true, and this means AND, because we have another condition, and we will type student 1 score is lesser or equal than 100, but we will need another, because this is two conditions. We will need another opening bracket and another closing bracket. This means that both of these conditions needs to be true. This is AND operator. This condition needs to be true, and this condition need to be true. But we will need another AND condition, because student 2 score needs to be the same, greater or equal than 0, or lesser than or equal than 100. And we will need third opening bracket, and here we need to put another AND condition, and we will need the same thing, 2 opening brackets, and we will type student 2 score, student score of the second student, needs to be greater or equal than 0, we need to close the bracket, and we need another AND operator, and we need to type student score needs to be lesser or equal than 100. And now here we have 3 opening brackets, and also we will need 3 closing brackets, closing brackets here. And we need a body of this if statement. Okay, and this is good. Let's see this again. We have first condition, student 1 score needs to be greater or equal than 0. And this is another condition, student 1 score needs to be lesser or equal than 100. And because of this, we had 2 opening brackets. But we will have one more condition. These 2 conditions need to be true. If this is true, another condition, we have another AND operator. These 2 conditions need to be true. And if student 2 score is correct, we have this operator. If student 1 score is okay, also this needs to be okay. Greater or equal than 0, or lesser or equal than 100. If all of these conditions, because of this we have 3 opening and 3 closing brackets, because we have more conditions. And now if these conditions are good, we will continue with our application. But if conditions, some of the condition is not true, we need to run else statement, and it will be one message, print line exam score needs to be in range from 0 to 100, or you can type can be from 0 to 100, but this is the message. If we enter negative number for the score of any of the students, or we enter the number greater than 100, this else statement will run. This means AND, because when we have 2 conditions, AND means that both of the conditions, or if they are more, all of the conditions need to be true. This means AND. And if these conditions are okay, we will create another if statement inside. Now we will type student 1 score. We need 1 score enough for the needed that student pass the exam. Minimum points of score, minimum score can be 0, maximum score can be 100. And we will enter that, we will give a condition that it needs 60 points for students to pass the exam. And we will type the condition if student 1 score is greater or equal than 60, and we will need the same thing for the second student. We need another opening bracket, and we need AND operator, and we will now type and student 2 score is greater or equal than 60. If both of these conditions are true, both students will pass the exam. And in the body we will write a message, print line, and it will be, but we have error. It is because we had 2 opening brackets here, and here we have 1 closing bracket. We need another closing bracket, and now it's good. We will type a message, both students passed the exam, and this is okay. If both students have a score greater or equal than 60, they will pass the exam. And now let's give a couple of space, and inside we can create else if statement. If this condition is not good, else if statement, we will check the else if statement, and here we can just we can copy from these two opening brackets until these two closing brackets. We can copy this and paste it here, and we will just change one thing. Now this will be condition if at least one of the students pass the exam, but here we will not have and, we will have or operator. This means that to these control statements to be true, it needs to be just one of the conditions need to be true, or student 1 score needs to be greater or equal to 60, or at least student 2 score needs to be greater or equal than 60. And we need a body, and we will write a message. Only one of the students passed the exam. And as to repeat once again, if just one of the students' score is greater or equal than 60, this statement will run. And now we will have else statement, and this else statement will run if this condition is not true. Also, this else if statement also is not true. It means that both of the students failed the exam, and it will be if they have. This will mean that both of the students have a score lesser than 60, and we will just in else statement write a message, print a line, and we will write both students failed the exam. Okay, and I really hope that you understand. This is and. We use this and or operator when we have control statements with more conditions. Now we can type and when we want to. For example, if we have two conditions, we will type and if we want to both conditions to be true, and if we want to just one of the conditions to be true, we are using or. And now we can try to run this application. Okay, let's use Ctrl Shift and F to format this code well. Okay, and now we can use Ctrl and save. Now we can try to run this application. Okay, enter student 1 score. We will type negative number -20, and enter student 2 score. We will type 50, and we will get the message exam score needs to be in range from 0 to 100, which is good because here we type negative result from the student 1 score, and minimum is 0, and this means that it works properly. Now let's try again. Student 1 score will be 30, and student 2 score will be 150. And we expect the same message. Okay, exam score needs to be in range from 0 to 100. This is because we entered the score of the student to 150, and the condition is that needs to be lesser or equal than 100. It is greater than 100 and it will not work properly, and this is perfect. Now let's try enter student 1 score, it is 80, and student 2 score will be 70. And we will have message both students passed the exam. It is because score of the both students is greater than 60. Of course, it is lesser than 100, and we have the message both students passed the exam, which is perfect. Now let's try. Student 1 score will be 70 and student 2 score will be 10. Now let's enter, and only one of the students passed the exam. It means student 1 score is 70, which is okay, and student 2 score it is 10, and this means that this condition in this if statement it's not good, and we are checking else if statement. Student 1 score, okay, it is greater than 60, and student 2 score, okay, it is lesser, but just one of this condition is true, and it's enough for this else if statement to run. Only one of the students passed the exam. Of course, it will be, we can type student 1 score 59 and student 2 score is 60, and we have again the message only one of the students passed the exam, because student 1 score it's not enough, it is lesser than 60, but student 2 score it's equal, it's 60, it's enough, and this condition is good, this one isn't, but it's enough. We have just one condition is good, and it's enough for this else if statement to run. Now we will check else statement. Let's try. Enter student 1 score is 25 and enter student 2 score is 5. They didn't learn, and the message will be both students failed the exam, because if statement is not good, also else if statement is not good. Both conditions are false, and when both these conditions, both statements are false, else statement will run. It will write both students failed the exam, which is perfect. Of course, we can type, let's type 59 and 59. They need just one more point, but it's not enough to pass the exam. Both students failed the exam because they both have 59 points, but they need 60 to pass the exam, and this means that this application works perfectly. First condition, we have first condition, student score needs to be from 0 to 100 for both students, and if this condition is good, we will see their result on the test. If we type some number that cannot be equal to score exam, we'll just have this else statement: exam score needs to be in range from 0 to 100. I really hope that you understand it. You need to type this exercise together with me, okay? And I really hope that you type it properly and that it works. Of course, you can create your own challenge to practice this a little. Just most important thing is about this. You need to be careful about this opening and closing brackets. And when you have or and condition, it doesn't matter. You need one more opening and closing bracket, but also Eclipse will help you. As you can see, if I delete just one closing bracket from here, of course, here it will appears error, and it will also help you, and you will see if your code is typed properly. I really hope that you understand it, and I really hope that you like this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You have a link in the description, and I will see you in the next tutorial.